So Tamzin, you've been looking at it. How far do you think the Premier League is going to go with this?
Well, semi-automated offside technology has been trailing for actually quite a few years. It was seen at the Arab World Cup in 2021, it was seen at the World Cup in 2022, and the Euros just last year. But what we're going to see with the Premier League is the most powerful system yet, or so they say. But the real concern here is how it's actually going to impact the assistant referees that we're seeing on the pitch. We don't think that, similar to Wimbledon, the linesman will be abolished, but I think the biggest question we need to ask is about how it's going to impact.
In terms of, you seemed a little bit sceptical, if you don't mind me saying, Tamzin, about whether they'll get it there in time for the FA Cup final. But I'm also thinking about stadiums in the Premier League that a lot of them don't have roofs, a lot of them have different size stands. Is there a problem with rolling it out and making the technology fit to the stadia that we have?
Well, if I remember correctly, I think if some stadiums don't have VAR capability, then they simply won't have it for a whole tournament, like I believe it happened with a championship final a few years ago. That's a very good question. I think it's 12 cameras need to be installed. And if you think about the amount of stadiums it needs to be installed in, maybe the target of the final could be a bit out of reach there.
Yeah. I'd pay an extra £1 every week for a proper offside decision, I don't know. He says as a Burnley fan. Coming up, coaches out there who are pretty sniffy about using AI in day-to-day operations around their team because they might feel that it stifles the experience that they bring or the intuition to change tactics. But actually listening to Keith Hackett, the referee that you spoke to in your film, I think it's such a pressured environment now in sport that actually that sort of help, that symbiotic relationship I was talking about, might just be welcomed by a lot of coaches these days.
I actually found the reaction from Keith quite interesting, especially considering that the Referees Association had a very different view. The thing is that a lot of people who may or may not have their jobs changed, I don't want to say replaced, but changed by artificial intelligence, are not going to be very positive about what the changes are, regardless of if they are positive. But as you say, the fact that Keith seems quite welcoming is obviously such a great sign, and it shows that actually it can have quite a positive impact on the game.